when your name is Poseidon's son, and Poseidon was the god of the seas, storms, and horses, it only makes sense that you would arrive to your new farm during historic floods and a new river that hasn't been there before. So, everybody, please welcome to the farm Poseidon's son. All right, guys. So, this is my new horse, Poseidon's son, or Percy, as they have been calling him. And I usually don't change names, so Percy it is. I'm fine with that. Um, he is a 2019 model off the track thoroughbred gelding, and he raced 49 times and made about 175 grand on the track, which is way more than any other horse that I've ever had. So I've always had very failed race horses, but this is a legit racehorse. He actually won races. So I think that's pretty cool. After his last race, he ended up at New Vocations Racehorse Adoption in Lexington, which is also where I got Polo, my other off the track. And I just had such a great experience with them when I got Polo that I knew they would definitely be one of my first places to go when I was looking for a new horse. So I had a couple horses lined up that I was going to look at there, and they were both nice, but there was something about when I went into Percy's stall, I felt like I had known this horse forever. And this is a little bit out there, a little woohoo, but I just felt such a strong connection with him. And it was as strong as when I first went to look at Jimmy, who was my first horse. And the very first day that I went to look at Jimmy, we were at this farm and it was so cold. And the guy threw him out in the pasture so that we could watch him run around and, just kind of get a feel of him. And we were standing there talking with the owners, and I had my arm rested up on the gate. And Jimmy came up and literally put his head on my arm. And my husband took a video of this, and you can see as soon as Jimmy put his head on my arm, my whole face changed. Like, oh my God, I have to have this horse. And I ended up having him for about 20 years, and he was with me every single day during those years. So Jimmy was the only other time I have felt something like what I felt with Percy when I stepped into his stall at New Vocations. So I had a whole day planned of looking at other horses while I was in Lexington, but after I saw him go and just the feeling that I got, I canceled all of my plans for the day, signed the adoption papers, and scheduled a shipper to pick him up and bring him up to Illinois. So it was just like that. So he got here, and it was such a horrible weather day. We had some of the most torrential rains that we've had since I've been on this farm. I think we've been here for about 8 years. And the pastures were flooded, the road was flooded, the barn was flooded. And at the beginning of the video, that river is not normally there. That is a dry bed. So it was literally flooded. And when the semi pulled up, we don't have a good turnaround spot on our farm. So they had to unload him up at the road. And our drive is it's probably close to a quarter of a mile. And so I met the driver down at the road, It's pouring down rain. And I luckily, Percy was such a good boy. He walked right off the trailer, put his head down, and followed me straight up to the barn. So, no funny business. He'd been on a trailer, for the past 8 hours, I want to say. And he just acted like a, the pro racehorse, except without any hyperness or anything. I just had a regular halter on him, and he just followed me straight up to the barn. And unfortunately, the area in front of the main doors of the barn was completely flooded, and there were probably like 3 inches of water, no joke, standing in front of the big doors of my barn. And I couldn't get him to cross that. And, I don't know this horse. He doesn't know me. So I wasn't going to stand there and fight with him in the pouring rain. So we walked around the barn, through a different pasture, and had to go to the back door to come into the barn. And so once again, he followed me in. So professional, such a good boy with such a level head. And so the picture that was in the intro when he's in a stall, that was right after I got him in his stall, and he is soaking wet. I'm completely drenched, and I just put him in the stall in between Polo and Goose, and he just happily went on eating his hay, and he drank some water, and that was it for the rest of the day. So my barn was flooded. Everything was flooded. Even my indoor ended up flooded. So the video that's playing in the background right now is the next morning. I just wanted to take him out to the dry part of my indoor and just kind of play around with him and see what he was like. So I wanted to start a routine right away that first day. And so I think I probably brought Polo out first to work with him. And then, I think Percy was a little bit anxious when I took Polo out. But then uh, after I was done with Polo, I grabbed Percy, brought him out to the indoor, and I'm just kind of introducing some things like here the paper bag on the stick, and just leading him around and getting him to move his hindquarters, and just all the very basic things that I don't know you do with a horse that you don't know. And he was unsure, I would say. I wouldn't even say that he was scared. He was just a little unsure because he's like, who are you? And what am I doing here? And why are we not just galloping on the track? So he was like, this all seems a little strange, but okay, you seem all right. I'll follow you around for a little bit. And he was just so good. He's just such a good boy. And not once have I seen him do anything like what so many people think is the typical wild and crazy thoroughbred. He hasn't ever acted up. He hasn't run over me or reared up or, tried to take off or anything like that. Um, the only thing that he does need some work with as far as ground manners is he will kind of try to not run over you, but he is clearly used to only being led on his left side. And so there were a couple times where I don't know, just mindlessly was leading him on his right side, and he kept like pushing into me, I think trying to tell me I was doing it wrong. He's like, you're leading me from the wrong side. But we've worked on that. So he's been here 2 weeks as of yesterday. So, but like I said, this video that's playing, that's the very first day. And look how chill he is. He's like, I don't care about any of this. Um, and then I don't have any really good videos of when I first turned everybody out together, but um, it was a couple days later because everything was so flooded that I ended up having to have them in their stalls. And so he had basically, this is the work that he did for 2 days. And then um, when I put him out with the other boys in the pasture, he literally just kind of walked off, did his own thing. And I was like, wow, he might be a little bit antisocial. And the other two were kind of interested, but not overly like, hey, what are you doing? And who are you? That I think they had kind of just gotten used to each other through the stall walls. And so it just really wasn't a big deal. But what has been so fun the last few days is, or I guess it didn't take very many days, only a few days after that initial turnout, he just really started showing his personality. And now he loves both Polo and Goose, and he is like by one of them all the time, but not in a needy way. So he's just so confident in himself. And yeah, he's, oh my god, he's so smart, he's so confident, and I just absolutely can't wait to get started with him. So let me tell you what the plan, okay, plan might be a strong word. Let's say the hope for him is to hopefully maybe compete him at the 2027 Retired Racehorse Project Makeover in Lexington. So he is eligible, and ideally we could qualify, but I I am not great at showing. And so I get so nervous, and I just get so mental about shows. But I will say that part of this channel, the whole point when I started it was with the plan to take Polo, the 4-year-old off the track thoroughbred, to his first event in the winter season of 2027. So, if everything works out, we will be heading down to Aiken, South Carolina for the winter, and I will hopefully be showing Polo at his first recognized event. So, part of my project personally is to, one, become a better rider because I'm so out of practice. Two, get really fit, and especially because I'm an older rider and I don't bounce at all anymore. And three, to overcome my mental issues with showing. I always want to show and I really want to event. But like many of us, the mental aspect of it is probably the hardest part. So, part of my goal for the next however many months I have left before we go south is to work on my mental resiliency and push through the fear and just do it. So now that I have Percy, I can take that even further and see if we can qualify for the RRP. So, with that, I am going to be following the rules that are set up for the RRP. If we want to do the fall of 2027, he can only have 15 post track rides on him um, before, I want to say it's the middle of December coming up. So until, you know, late in the fall, I won't even sit on this horse. So I want to do it honest. There's not really any way that people would know if you rode them before that, but I want to follow the rules and come by any progress that we make very honestly. So for now, we are just going to stick with groundwork, and I'll probably start long lining him here. Um, Currently, God, we always have the worst weather in the summer. We are in a serious heat wave, as I know many of us are. And so I think that is supposed to break a little bit for next week. So I want to start long lining him around the property to, just get him familiarized with everything here and start putting some muscle on him so he will be fit and ready for me to sit on him. So, anyway, guys, that is the plan for Mr. Percy. And I am so excited. And I, if you're even a little bit interested in following my journey and seeing where this goes with me and Polo and me and Percy, please like and subscribe and comment below on what you're working on and what your goals are, because I always say this, but I am alone on my farm. I ride by myself. I I don't have a lot of help, and so it does get a little bit lonely, to be honest. And so I would love to hear from you, and we can cheer each other on with whatever it is you're working on. I'd be happy to cheer you on. So, like and subscribe. It's really important. It really helps me and keeps me going. So, anyway, that is Percy, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.